Hello, 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 and welcome to How She Made It series, a global summit of talking to amazing experts on what it takes to really become a wealthy woman, the ups and downs, the good, the bad, all of it, lifting the veil on what that looks like. My name is Tiffany Scott. I am the founder of You, Me, She Collective, where I help women connect with their own uniqueness and so they can create their inner man brand. I'm also the founder of Sister Suppers. Check it out, sistersuppers.com, where we create community from within women's homes through sisterhood. And today I have the incredible founder of Girl, Kortney Olson, Kortney with a K. And Kortney is one of the most inspiring women I know. This is a woman that keeps it real and is all about sisterhood. I'm going to read something that she wrote when I asked her to talk about what Girl is. She wrote, "We exist to empower women. We're a clothing line that refuses to use Photoshop, uses all body types in our advertising and media, and has done away with traditional sizes. We help redefine what it means to do it like a girl, all the while uniting women in a global sisterhood that is unstoppable in force and providing a platform for women to share their story and their message as we believe women will change the world." Amen. Thank you, Kortney, so much for joining us. I know it's 10 a.m. there in Singapore, and I'm just so grateful that you're here. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your journey from being a world champion athlete, bodybuilder, powerhouse to creating the Girl brand.
Wow, that was an introduction. I don't know what else I could possibly say about myself. It's a pleasure to be connected with you and being able to speak to everybody in your network and share the brand and share the sisterhood and help empower other women. So I really appreciate that, Tiff. Who I am, I'm that girl that smashes watermelons between her thighs. I know that doesn't define me or defy me, but I'm quite proud of that, and I like to start off with that. But I'm known for doing various things and different stuff, and but that there's a good chance you might have seen me out there on the interwebs or TV doing that. And that's that little party trick that I do is just purely to remind women that we are born for strength, and that's why I continue to do this little act, is to inspire women, to remind them that we truly are powerhouses. Women push babies out of this tiny hole in their body. Like, how is this even possible? And then go back to work the next day or the following week, And yeah. So I truly believe that women just need to be reminded of that one simple fact, and we can start to flip the switch and really start chasing our dreams and everything. As quickly as possible, because I'm sometimes an egomaniac and think I have the world's greatest story and think really highly of myself, and it's all about me. So I can talk on and on when it's better to be, in my experience, interested instead of interesting. So I'll keep it short. But I grew up hating my body. I was a product of divorce. Went through the cycle of counting calories to eating disorders to, by the time I was a senior in high school, doing methamphetamines. And I was the student body president. I was supposed to be going to Stanford on a full ride scholarship. I was in a Christian rock band. I was super tight with Jesus, and started smoking meth, and I kept doing that because I lost weight. And I heard all the Just Say No ads from Nancy Reagan and everything, and it just didn't stick for some reason. And so from there, I, as a young person, experienced a rape by the man who was supposed to be my boxing instructor and my mentor. And that led me down a really dark cycle of alcoholism and further addiction. That included pain pills and just a lot of pain, and I, over the years, have realized that all of this pain was a result primarily from having incredibly low poor body image. And of course, not understanding the origination of alcoholism and addiction and trauma, all of these things that helped me to understand why I, experienced what I experienced. So as a result, I took that information and created a a program for teenage girls that I wanted to teach them the tools that you and I weren't taught in school. We were taught to just say no and regurgitate facts of, my brain's not even there right now. What's that table of elements? See, I can't even remember what it's
called. You're asking the wrong person.
See, kids, you can still count on your fingers and be really successful.
Totally.
Just stay away from methamphetamines, or I will, the woman with the world's deadliest thighs, whoop your butt. I wanted to teach them these things that were not taught in school, like the 4 agreements and understanding what, alcoholism and addiction is and how it affects society and how to be assertive and why you don't want to take pictures of your boobs and send them to your older dirtbag boyfriend so he buys you beer. All of these lessons that we're not taught in school, and we don't want to listen to them from our parents. And it was an amazing program. We ran it for 2.5 years, learned a ton of stuff. And one of my partners got pregnant. And while she was, needed to tap out to give birth, and that downtime, as we do as entrepreneurs, we're very motivated and determined and creative people. And we rolled the vision and the mission of this teenage wellness program that taught the 5 habits, principles, and lessons that led to the development of self-love, along with teaching the sisterhood concept. And that as females, we have to get along in order for us to get ahead out there. And decided, instead of reaching 8 to 10 teenage girls in the Gold Coast of Australia every other weekend, let's reach the world, and rolled that into this brand called Girl that encompasses all of that. And now we're reaching ages, 2 years old up to 85, I suppose. I'll include my grandma in there, even though we've got a few t-shirts she's not really fond of, but that's okay. So that's okay. We keep peeling the onion and going towards grace and maturing as along the way. So that's how the brand came to be, and my background and passion and drive, because it was those experiences that led me to really want to change the world, and create a brand that stood for something. And that's really the point of all of this, is we're driven by a incredibly strong vision and mission. And that's why we get out of bed every day. And that's what sets us apart from any other brand out there, full stop.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree with you. And when I work with my clients, one of the key things that we work on is vision and mission, because they are foundational pieces for the way that you show up, and also your why. And you have such a big, powerful why. And what I love about you is this brand's it's only 2 years old, right?
Yeah.
And you have how many followers, how many in your girl group on Facebook, which everyone should be in, by the way?
That's right. The closed group itself is almost 8,000 women, but our customer database is just about to hit 20,000.
That's incredible
customers.
In 2 years.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Now, I used to work in the fashion industry. The lifestyle, retail, wholesale industry. I know how tough it is. You've done incredibly well. And I think
Thank you.
One of the attributes of you is you are so friggin' real. You are so authentic. You share from your heart whatever you're going through, but you always do it from a place of power. And I love your Facebook Lives. I truly believe that because you have a big vision, because you have a clear mission, because you have a big heart, you have a big why, and you're so obtainable and you're so real, that's why you've managed to grow your brand so quickly. And, you've got your tattoo there, but I know that there's women that have these girl tattoos as well, right?
Yeah, we've got about 25 women across the globe who have one, which is incredible. And then, last year, and we're coming up on our second annual event. Our first one was last year. And of course, it almost put us out of business, which, often those things can happen along the journey when you start new things. But we had, a slew of girls who went out and got tattooed immediately following our first live event. And one of which is above her eyebrow. And I went to a Shark Tank audition 2 days following the live event, and we flew from Las Vegas to Denver, and I went into the audition, and you get 60 seconds basically to pitch. And I took my phone and I showed him the photo of the girl with girl tattooed above her eyebrow. And I was like, show somebody with a Nike swoosh on their face tattooed and tell me they don't need a mental health checkup. Like I just went in there, I was like, bam. And then she was just like, whoa. And I'm like, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
loyalty.
Yeah.
Tell us about, because you have such an incredible story and so empowering, and the sisterhood around what you create is really, really beautiful and profound as well. And the conversations that we're having through this series is around what it takes to be a wealthy woman. And as an entrepreneur, it's not an easy journey. I wouldn't, for me personally, I wouldn't change it for the world, but there's so many ups and downs with that. And I think we're led to believe that it can be easy, that we can make $1 million in a minute, that, just follow this product or this formula or this blueprint and you've got it made. And the reality is there's so much happening in the background that it's not always that clear cut. And we're often talking about, you can make 6 figures and you can make 7 figures and all this sort of stuff, when sometimes there's not even profitability in businesses as well. And I know I had to learn that the hard way in my business when I started to actually make profit. You can make 100 grand, 6 figures, and still only, take home 10, 15, 20 as well. So what do you think it takes to be not only be a wealthy woman, but embodiment of a wealthy woman? Because being wealthy can encompass so many different things.
That is absolutely right. I think we get fixated on wealthy meaning money. And as an entrepreneur, when you start out, you've got to understand that couldn't be further from the truth in most cases, unless you're Donald Trump or Gary Vee, I told, walked into money. I don't know for sure. I don't know these things, but, you've got to go in with the mindset of this is going to be arduous as AF. And, I started out, was starting out with camp and realizing that we needed support, and going down the government and funding routes that wasn't working out. So I got into network marketing. And I had dabbled in it a little bit previously because my father was always doing something. And so I had a little bit of experience, and I'd found isogenics, and I was passionate about the products, and, learning that network marketing is a great tool to empower women because, a lot of them are stay-at-home moms. Mm. There's a way to start a business that's extremely low cost. Give them the empowerment to leave abusive relationships and marriages and so on and so forth. And I was like, yeah, this is it. Even, Buddha has said that, the world will be saved by the Western woman, and it's the new economy. And oh my gosh, I was so fired up about it. And I went so hard for 1.5 years thinking that was the way forward, and just I couldn't switch it off because, being a recovered addict, alcoholic, I have the mindset of constantly go, go, go. It's always all or nothing, and that's okay. I accept that. But it was like every conversation, every person was an opportunity, and I burnt myself out real quick. And, that was the exact trap I fell into was, you've been making 6 figures in, a year, and you just got to keep going. And you go to all the conferences and get all jacked up and fired up, and then, that fizzles out. And so, I finally got to a point where, things transpired and changed, and girl came to be. And I put that off to the side. But that being said, when I rolled into girl, I was still completely focused on the why. Like you said, it's always been about the why. And that is what you have to start with. And, we hear this before, but we got to get really clear on that, because it's so easy to say stuff and then not really connect to it. I'll give you an example, because I keep coming back to recovery. There's the Serenity Prayer, right?
Yeah.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I've been saying this prayer for over a decade. And for whatever reason, it wasn't until I went to get it tattooed. I don't have it tattooed. I got something else tattooed instead on my arm. And at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, the serenity prayer talks about acceptance. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. How weird. I've been saying this prayer, just saying it, and, not really connecting to the words. So often we say, oh, this is my why, and this is what I want to do. But we just say it, and we're not really consciously connecting to it. It's just like we're in that subconscious autopilot frame of mind where we're just going through the motions, or we've got all this other background stuff going on, or it's like the trap of social media and trying to connect with your kids. People are scrolling through Facebook and their kids trying to get their attention, and there's just you're like, yep, and it's just what it is in today's society. So it's like, sit down, get really clear on what it is you want and the why are you doing this? Why do you want to leave a legacy? What problem in the world do you want to fix? How does it affect you personally? Why is it driving you? All of those important questions, because at times when it gets too hard and you go from that mentality of, I get to, oh, I have to.
Right.
I've caught myself up in that state of mind a lot in the past few months, where it's gone from, I get to do this to, I have to do that. Yeah. And it's time like, whoa, time for a check, time for a checkup, what's going on. Because it will, come down to finances, and most startups as an entrepreneur, it's it's extremely difficult. So if you don't have a really strong why, you will say, F this, I'm out. I've had enough.
Yeah.
And, I've thrown my hands up in the air a number of times, but at that moment, I'll get a message from a woman that says, hey, you know what? I'm in tears right now because I've just put on shorts for the first time in 20 years. Or, my 4-year-old daughter, like this stuff, I get these messages and it's just bang, I'm right back in it.
No.
I might be overtired. My work-life balance is shot. I haven't made love to my husband in almost a year. Like I said, I'm keeping it real. I always keep it real. Like, there's always something to look that we can balance. But at the same time, you've got to be so dedicated to what it is you're doing and so motivated by it that it brings you straight back. And you're like, oh yes, this is why I'm doing this, to change the world. Because I truly believe that if we don't, we as a human race are doomed. We feel like the female energy has to be lifted up in order for us to, persevere and keep humanity on this earth, because it's like what we're doing to the environment and all the greed and hunger and everything else. It's like, clearly women are too busy fearing that we look our worst, that we can't do our best. And our best is being nurturing and compassionate and empathetic and comparing, not being judgmental and hateful towards each other and nice ass, bitch. It's that's not us. That's society. That's the system. That's the matrix.
That's what we've into the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Really. And
100.
I think there's a shift happening. I totally agree with you that there's this feminine energy that's rising of the collaboration, of the nurture, of the support, and it's a new economy. It's a new way of leading, of politics, of entrepreneurship. And I think the more women that stand in their strength, whatever that looks like for them, but own that, whether it's a physical way of being, a mental way of being, a spiritual way of being, but we got to do it together, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I can't wait to hear your keynote on that at Girl Live at the end of April, because that's, that is basically why we're here. And, yes, we've got to love ourselves first, but sometimes we can't love ourselves without the help of seeing it through the eyes of other women, and vice versa. So really looking forward to hearing you on that. But yeah, that would be how I've stayed in the game. And as far as the wealthy, just to put a bow on that and tie that up, is getting clear on what wealth is to you. Because if you think wealth is going to be the money and that's why you're in it, and you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out, I wish you luck, is in my experience. And that's the other thing. Everybody's an expert everywhere, and it's just, no one is, there's, what is it? There's nothing new under the sun. I can't remember what verse that is in the Bible.
Yeah. There's no new ideas, basically.
Yeah. We're not reinventing the wheel, but it's just, everybody's interpretation. So somebody might say, oh, this is the way to do it. But just remember to keep an open mind and just keep exploring and, trying different ways. And, if something doesn't work, like Tony Robbins says, if that doesn't work, try something else. But if you stay focused on the end result, on the why, then it will come to pass eventually. And, getting really clear also on what wealth is. I often come back to my partner and say, look, we have this crazy love. Like, he tamed this stallion. Okay. I mean, I never thought in 1,000 years that I would get married. I was like, nah, I don't want to wake up every day and eat Cheerios. That's so boring. I can't see that happening. And, for whatever reason, I've fallen more in love with this person every year. And, like I said, we haven't made love in a while, and that's fine. It's just what it is right now. I don't have a libido. I'm tired, bitch. That's just what it is. I also have hypothyroidism that I was diagnosed with Graves' disease last year. And I know that affects a lot of women as well. That has a bit to do with it. But I said, this is wealth. People out there, the wealthiest people in the world who are millionaires, cannot buy what you and I have. And then also being a part of a 12-step program in recovery, I can walk into a room anywhere in the world and those people are my family. I don't know them from a bar of soap, but we are the same. We come from the same place. And so having that identification, that sense of community, and that's what you and I are both trying to do in the world, is create these relationships, because we have fallen so out of touch with each other because of technology, and that is unconditional love, where it's like, yeah, I don't know you, but if you need to come sleep on my couch, I completely understand where you're coming from. I got your back. And that is something that money cannot buy. You can't buy that. So you could get your own private jet, go fly off and spend money on hookers, or, do whatever it is that you need to do, homeboy, or, homegirl wants to go to Prada and do whatever. But that is just temporary fixes. It's like lines of cocaine. That's what compliments are like. It's like cocaine. It goes away. It doesn't fill that void, like being of service or having unconditional love. So get really clear, what is wealth? And if you think wealth is the money is good, but we can't let that be our end focus for the first couple years, because let's keep it real. It's sometimes it takes a while. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Thank you. And so let's talk about Girl Life. Because round 2, I'm going to be speaking there. I was actually sitting in Orlando outside the other day writing my keynote, and I got into a place of inspiration and I was writing it and it made me cry. So I think it's good. I hope But I'm so excited to just be there in this energy of women that are going to be there over the weekend, and this you're gonna do the watermelon thigh crushing stuff right there as well.
Yeah, we're gonna fit that in somewhere. There is so much packed into this weekend. It hurts my head, Tiff. It really does. And then plus the cost, it's so fucking cheap. I'm like, this has been the most difficult thing, right? Is to know what is on offer and how to articulate that in a very short period of time, whether you're on the website or a video, to be like, look, this is going to change your life. Here are the women who got the brand tattooed one on her face post event last year. Like, get your ass there.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but it's a 2-day, 2-night. That's to the general admission ticket. We've got a couple of different levels, but from 7 o'clock in the morning, we're doing some fitness stuff, and then kicking off at 9:30. And each day, Saturday, the focus is on sisterhood, and Sunday, the focus is on self-love and inner reflection and everything. And everything from, keynotes from amazing women like you to we've got intersectional feminism. Like, we're not a feminist brand because I feel that it's a label that unfortunately divides a lot of women. But when you actually look at what it is that we're doing, I mean, it's really obviously synergistic. But I find that there's, turf feminists and second wave and third wave and all these different offshoots that can cause conflicts amongst one another. I get a lot of questions saying, "Oh, do you support trans women?" I'm like, why wouldn't we? I understand there's a lot of, I believe they're called turf feminists, that are like, no, you can't be a feminist if and I personally, I'm like, well, look, I've watched a few documentaries, and you see a 3-year-old child with scissors in their hands trying to cut their penis off because it doesn't feel right and they're in the wrong body. Like, tell me something isn't going on there. This is all news. This is new stuff to me. So this is about being inclusive. So if you identify and present as a female, then you can join us, so things like that. We I say intersectional feminism, but the point of me saying that is primarily because we need to take a look at showing up for all women, and as a white woman, I didn't realize when we started out with this company, it was about including all body sizes was the focus, right? And I'm like, we got to represent the bigger girls and the smaller girls, get rid of the stigma of sizing, because we use athletes' names instead of, and small, medium, and large, and so forth. And some great stuff. However, it wasn't until we released a design that somebody mentioned, cultural appropriation, and it blew up this massive conversation. And of course, we took the shirt off sale and moved forward from there. But from that event, and then there was the Women's March when Trump, went into office, and a lot of different stuff arose around that. And I really started to realize that there is a lot of things that need to be unpacked in this idea of white privilege. I was like, what do you mean white privilege? You don't know about my life. Like, I've experienced a rape, and I'm a recovered drug addict and alcoholic. Don't talk to me about privilege. My mom's an alcoholic, blah, 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 blah. And then, over a series of conversations and awakening, because I consider myself to be woke, like, oh, I'm enlightened. No, I have so much to learn. And it was such a humbling experience because you just don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
Right. And so we cannot have these conversations on Facebook in this closed group. It just can't happen. And that's one of the keynotes I'll be doing is effective communication, and talking about how, communication, like only 10% of what is happening has to do with the words. The rest has to do with your pitch and tone and body language. And we can't get any of that on Facebook, y'all. So that's why this event, just this one section, is so important, because we're going to have, the keynote and then a panel, and have a deaf woman, transgender woman, lesbian woman, Black woman, Latina, white, different sectors, so we can have these conversations in person, so we can understand what all this stuff means, because otherwise we're not going to move forward like legitimately. And so the other thing I realized too is that, wow, okay, we've got body size represented, but where are the Black women?
Yeah.
Where are the, and how that must feel to be in that position. And it's like, it really, it makes me really sad to think that I've had my eyes closed for so long, and be like, wow, I didn't know. And so, that from that to, we were doing workshops to powerlifting. Rose Namajunas, who just won the UFC world title for the strawweight division. She's got another fight coming up too, right before Girl Live, but doing MMA and strong man, which we call strong girl, workshops like that. So women who have never touched a barbell before, or touched a mat, or so they can come into an environment and feel safe, non-judged, and, learn some stuff and really tap into that power. And then later on that evening, we're going to have a competition for fun, a deadlift competition and a strong girl competition, or they're going to be picking up sandbags, and I'm going to be up in their ear being like, you pushed a baby out of your vagina, you can pick it up. And they'll be like, yeah, I can. And then all the girls will be around and be like, fuck yeah. And we're just going to go mental, and it's going to be amazing, right? So stuff like that. And then we've got our documentary premiere Saturday night, and I just saw the trailer for it, and I cried 8 times.
Wow, it's happening. That's amazing.
I had no idea that our partner in it, the director and the videographer, I had no idea. He's done all of our stuff for the past couple of years, but I mean, he went beyond. Like, I didn't know he was capable of doing this. And it is, I'm just like, okay, this is, you'll see, you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. The world will see. It'll be really exciting. And, and then of course, Sunday we've got, like I said, different things to help promote and build self-love, body confidence. We've got professors speaking. Myself will be doing the effective communication, a woman sharing the nurtured heart approach, which is a parenting style for designed for kids with autism and ADHD that are very high functioning. I learned it while I was at Camp Confidence, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, it's all energy based, and it's very basic, but it literally just blew my mind. And I thought, wow, just imagine how many parents this is going to help and change. So she's going to be bringing that. And then we'll have workshops that afternoon on like self-defense, plant-based nutrition, an intensive on nurtured heart approach, and a body confidence triad of dance, which includes like twerking and sexy chair dance and belly dancing and stuff. And then of course I'm going to have a workshop with the teenagers, because that's my thing. Yeah. Teen whispering. And then that night we have a girl wedding. Okay. So we have 2 customers, one from New Zealand, one from Chicago. They met in the closed group, fell in love. Our other customers fundraised to buy a plane ticket for one of them so they could meet in person. They met in person, and now we're going to marry them.
Oh my gosh.
Felicia is going to minister their wedding on Sunday night, and we get to all be there, and it's just going to be so crazy. It's going to be so much fun.
What amazing gem.
Yeah. Yes.
Super inspiring, empowering, inclusive 2-day event. And Felicia, that you just mentioned, that's going to marry them, is also she's going to be part of this series as well. So
of course,
she's amazing, incredible. I am just so excited for this weekend. It's going to be amazing. I love that you're talking about, inclusivity in every single way, in every shape, way, and form. Black, white, Hispanic, yellow, orange, whatever color, size, shape. It's so important. And the fact that you bring conscious conversations, uncomfortable conversations to the table, so we can learn from each other. What does it mean to be black? What does it mean to be a privileged white woman? Like all the things that need to come to the surface and need to be spoken about. And then what it means to love ourselves, what it means to encompass and embody the strength of our own bodies, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it.
Yeah, that's right. It just made me think of, I forgot to mention Master Mel. She's like a 6-degree black belt, and she's got a little activity up her sleeve that is just going to she's going to turn it out on Sunday afternoon. I don't want to spoil it, so I won't say anything, but it just reminded me of that as well. And again, through networking, meeting her through you, and just, being able to show women that, look, like, this is no longer a man's world, like, yes, we want to create a world where men can cry and women can lift heavy ass weights, and get a 6-degree black belt and still be smoking hot. I was like, what?
You're and nurturing and loving and emotional.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
yes.
Dates of the weekend and how they can get tickets.
It's April 28th and 29th, and it's girl.com/live. And you'll find the information on there for our 3 different packages and our hotel group rate, because everything's at the Golden Nugget. This is downtown, old strip. Don't have to rent a car. Everything in walking distance. And the downtown strip is real interesting. It's like live. There's a cast of characters down there. Tons of stuff going on everywhere, which of course you won't really have time to see unless you're like planning on not sleeping. But I don't recommend doing that. So yes, it's gonna be incredible. So can't wait to see you there.
I know, I can't wait. It's going to be just amazing, and I'm glad I get to at the very start so I can enjoy them.
You get to that too. But you're setting the tone, so no pressure.
No
right?
Pressure,
no pressure.
Thank you so much, Kortney. You're always an inspiration. I just love bombs all the way with you. You're so real. Keep it real. Keep the sisterhood going. Keep it
absolutely
dream alive. And I will see you in April.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening. And we'll talk to you then.